How are you feeling?
I'm good. It's raining. I'm good.
Awesome. So let's start with the easier questions.
Please.
Just for the sake of everybody else, just introduce yourself. What business do you run? And most importantly, why are you running that business?
My name is Mphata Makakase. I am born and bred in Limpopo. I am the CEO of Relay Institute. The main reason for starting Relay Institute is I am more interested in human development, like everything that I've done and everything that I'm doing currently. My currency is in human development. When you develop, my bank develop. So, in a nutshell, that's who I am
Okay.
and what we do. Just in a nutshell, we're gonna get rolling, eh?
We're gonna get rolling.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah.
So you mentioned that you have a couple of businesses,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
There's Relay Institute,
Mhm.
and then there's others.
Okay.
Just take us through those.
All right. Do you want me to start with where I am, or you want me to give a bit of a
A
background
background.
of where I come from?
Yes.
Okay. My background is in the NGO sector. I before I started my business, I was a CEO of an organization called African Pathways. Now, what African Pathways was doing, we were basically developing young people, we're developing graduates. As you know, that our country doesn't teach or train graduates to be employable or to be entrepreneurs or to be relevant into the market. But that's what basically African Pathways was doing. We had graduate program where we will train them for 3 months to prepare them for the market and also interact with the market so that we could create space for them. Secondly, what we're also doing is that we're building entrepreneurs. But our entrepreneurs were more on Kasi level. You know, that person who is doing Magwenya. Um, those are people that we're interested in who are taking chicken feet and then fry them a little bit and make them such a very global looking kind of a dish. Those were our interesting target for that. We're relying on funding, and I have ran my race being the CEO of African Pathways. And one of the reason actually, not that I love money, don't think I do, but anyway, I do. But one of the reason why I now stopped being a CEO of African Pathways, which was a non-profit organization, was, as you know, that people make business with people, not institutions. So if you work for a company, for an example, and then there is another client, the client is not necessarily interested in the bigger structure of the company, but the client that your business is having business with is more interested in the individuals within the company. And I've realized that I've built up myself in such a way that if I'm not doing certain projects or leading certain projects within the organization, the client will say, no, thank you, we don't want to do it. And we have pushed our NGO to a point where we before we were more 80-20, where not even 80-20, maybe 90-10, where 90% we're relying on funding from donors. And that's not healthy. Because if they wake up and feel like we don't want to fund you anymore, they close the tap and then people have to be paid salaries and all that. And most of our funders were global funders, and they also decide on what to do. I mean, they don't understand when you say to them, our target group, they get 3 buses before they actually get to Polokwane. And when they get to Polokwane, they are hungry. And you can't say to them, get inside the class when they are hungry. You have to understand their socioeconomic levels. But your funders may not be able to say, okay, we understand that because of different types of countries that we are in. And so we decided to say we want to change the spectrum. We don't want to rely more on funding. We actually want to start generating income as a non-profit organization. So we started moving into the space where we are actually starting to sell our services, which we also still today encourage non-profit organizations to say, you can trade your services. You just have to know the legalities around it, but you can trade your services. And then we started trading our services. Before, for an example, University of Limpopo, we were doing research by then, we were partnering with them. And then when we started trading, they were our competitors. And we went into the space. We started selling our services, and then we realized, personally, I realized that there's more I carry than just being in the development sector. And then I started having clients that were saying, we'll no more fund the institution, but we want to work with you on a personal level.
Okay.
And after
So
a
this
while,
is where you left.
this is why I left.
Okay.
Money.
Okay, money. Okay.
Money was
And then you mentioned that you also have other businesses.
I moved into Relay Institute.
Yeah.
When I moved into Relay Institute, one of the things that I love is tourism.
Tourism, yes.
And in tourism, I love the outdoor. I love camping. I don't love going into hotels where I sleep in your nice hotels and someone come and knock and say room service. I don't like to.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like that. I love to sleep in a tent. I love to climb mountains. Yeah, that's what I loved.
Yeah.
So what I did is I moved into that space. Remember when I moved out of African Pathways, then I opened the managing consultancy. But I got an opportunity because I was running camps, going into various spaces. Then I got an opportunity from a farmer that I was using their camp to say, can we give you space?
Yeah.
And then you run this thing now properly.
Yeah.
Then I moved into the tourism space where I was running camping either for campers or those that are into caravans or schools and all those kind of
Okay.
things. Yes.
So there's the Relay Institute and there's the camp.
Yes.
You also do motivational speaking as well?
I'm a motivational speaker, and we also have what we call mindful boot camps. Please see it, guys. Mindful boot camps.
Mindful bootcamp.
Yes,
Okay.
that's also what we run, where our main focus is your mind.
So I've never really been a camp person because one of the things that I struggled with camps is the toilets. Like, where do I go to? I'm like, at the camp, like, I have to go into the bushes, there's snakes. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. All right? How
Okay.
does your campsite have?
You know what? We've got different types of camping.
Yeah.
And we even have what they call glamping. I'm not sure if you know.
Glamping?
Glamping, it's camping, but it's glamorous, right?
Oh,
But you're sleeping in a tent, but there's an actual proper bed. And there's also actual proper bathrooms that you can utilize, right? But there's also camping where you sleep there, and if you like me, you like walking, you sleep there, but you walk to the actual bathroom. That's two, right? There's three where there's no way that they can build anything up the mountain. But you are a mountain hiker, for example, you love climbing mountains like I do, right? Now you put everything in your backpack, and then you climb a mountain, you get to a point, right? And then you put up your tent, you sleep. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Okay.
It's not that suffering is amazing, but it's amazing. Ne? And you want a bath, and then they show you the river. There's nothing as beautiful as bathing in a flowing, clean river water. And you want to do number two, you get a shovel, and then you find a space.
Okay.
I don't know about snakes, but we found them there. So you have to negotiate space. But snakes are one of the most peaceful species.
Is it?
They don't attack. You
Wow.
attack them, they always prevent.
The ones that
protect.
I've seen. Okay.
You should have called them by names. Those are
Oh, that's the
You should
trick.
have just said, Martha,
Okay.
stop.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. Let's get into the blunders now.
Yes.
So you've got these three, right? There's Relay Institute, there's the camp, and you also do motivational speaking as well. You just left,
Yeah,
CEO,
yeah.
top position, right?
Salary.
Red carpet. Now you're your own. What happens?
You know, when I left, I just want to be honest. When I left, I had people that promised me contract. Remember, I said, you make business with individuals. You don't make business with structures, isn't it? So I had people that said to me, you know, when you're ready to go, I mean, this contract we're gonna give it to you. And I did my own calculation, and already I was seeing myself, you know, driving my Aston Martin, like, I was there, you know. And I was already starting to look at what type of hair I'm going to work. And already the bread from Checkers was not even tasty for me. I was like, you know, going to Woolies and finding out, you know, do you have different types of bread? Those that are, you know, my palate, my taste was, and I don't even have a contract yet. I just have a word from them to say, when you leave, you're ready. So I called them and said, no, I'm available now for you. They said, oh, no, good, come to the office. I won't mention the client, the big client. Then I went to the office, and then I find different type of cheese. I'm lactose intolerant, I don't eat cheese, biltong, and I love biltong and everything. And I'm like, yeah, now it's an introduction of my life. Welcome to me. And then we had that, and then they say, no, tell us what you're going to do. Then I explained what they are going to do. They said, no, we'll call you. Month number 1, go, no call. And then I phoned them because I'm used to them. No, we are busy doing this. Month number 2, go. And you must know, school fees doesn't, you're not going to say to school fees, because they promised, they said they will. They want to be paid school fees. Polokwane municipality want their utility bills to be paid, right? My stomach want the payment to be done, and every other thing. And now it's month number 3, no call. And now they're saying we have restructured.
Sure.
And that project of yours, we are still discussing it. I was working for a non-profit organization. We don't have benefits. So when you leave like this, the way you came in. But I didn't leave like this. I left with what? A promise. It didn't happen immediately, right? And so this is where the camping came on board. And this is where you working for an NGO helps you because you're thinking on your feet. And then I went to our Afrikaner speaking partners, and then I started creating camps. And then I started knocking on doors of schools. Like I went to schools, I wanted to see the principals, where are you doing your camps? No, they're doing it here. It is not allowed for you to put both girls and boys here. I have a proper place for you. Let's discuss funding. Let's discuss money. And then I was able to get my money.
But this is after how long you have left?
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
And in the 3 months, what are you eating? The savings from the NGO?
Which savings? I said there was no savings there.
Oh, excuse me.
There's nothing. You don't live with anything. You live the way you came in. The only thing you live with is pride that you are a community builder, and everybody meet you and say, thank you very much. This woman is very good. That's what you are living with. But this woman is very good, is not paying the bills. This woman helped my daughter find a job, is not paying the bills, right? And
so how do you survive the 3 months?
no, fortunately for us, we're buying in front, and I'm a family woman, but you can't be saying to your husband, I need pets money. You bought pets last month. Are you guys doing this thing every month? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and you know, this is where he started realizing, oh, is that how much the hair cost? You know, now you're now doing budget. Oh, just for the lashes. Why do you want them to put lashes? What's wrong with your lashes? You know? And now he doesn't realize that all this, you know, nice thing that he's been looking at, somebody has to pay for it. So that's 3 months. So we have to live on one income, which is not good because remember you're moving from a space where you're living on 2 income. Now it's no more 2 income, it's 1 income, and it's strenuous actually for that. And he also get tired when you say, yeah, you see, I have an idea. You've been having ideas for the past 3 months, but bank accounts is bank account.
So the camp rescues the situation.
The camp rescued the situation from first time and also continues to rescue the situation because now, after a while, I'm realizing that my main clients that I was promised, they're a bit slagging, right? Now, I started knocking on doors. One thing that working for an NGO taught me is to think outside the box and use the skills that I have for trading purposes. Now, I started developing product, which is something that I've realized that if I didn't for the first 3 months when I left, if I did that before I left, then I would have something to sell. But I didn't have anything to sell in the past 3 months to 6 months, actually. Now, I started developing product. And this is something that if I did before, then I would know what I represent. Because most people will say, what do you do? No, I cut hair. Okay, what are you selling? You know, even if you're selling services, you need to have a product, and your product needs to have almost different types of features in it that maybe is different from the other product, but that's the product that you're selling. And when you're knocking on doors, that's the product that's knocking on doors. You knock on doors and say to them, this is what I'm selling. And you know, that's.
So where's the motivational speaking? I mean, are you not knocking on doors and say, guys, I can motivate your staff?
You see, the motivational speaking helped a lot.
Okay.
Because when I tell you, Tate Tisan is here, if I walk in your office, I can sell you milk out of your own coffee that you're drinking. I'll make you look at yourself and realize, I didn't know I'm like that, right? So I use my motivational speaking because I was also doing it when I was a CEO. I used that to actually sell my own product, and I'm very vigilant. I was not going to look at or be secured a meeting with the receptionist, because I start motivating them with the receptionist, and by the time I'm done, she'll be able to say, okay, fine, let me see if he can be able to see you. And then I knew 1 second with the CEO or the manager of that company, I'm getting out of there signing a contract.
Yeah.
And that's something that God gave me, because I use that motivation to motivate him to be interested in working with me. That's how you use motivation.
So when we're preparing, you spoke about you got a gig in
Yeah.
Venda, and you were broke,
Oh.
and you had to
Oh.
go.
Okay. I don't
Take
know why
us
you
through.
say broke, because you break something that's
Okay.
there.
All right.
Right? And if there's no money, you're not broke.
Okay.
There's nothing broken there.
Politically
Yeah,
incorrect. Yes.
you are zero money.
Zero money.
So you see, when you don't have money, you're not broke,
Okay.
right? You don't have money. There's nothing to break. So I got a job to do. Now, one of the things that we do in Relay Institute, we provide what we call monitoring and evaluation.
Yes.
Remember, I have an extensive experience in working with the NGO sector, and one of the things that we're also doing in our NGO was also building NGOs as a sector. We're developing policies, we're doing evaluation and monitoring for them, and I took that, I packaged it, and I was selling it. And I got a gig from one of the biggest donors. And I've worked with them as when I was a CEO to say, no, go and, go and do an evaluation, a midterm evaluation they gave me about 6 NGOs to do an evaluation for, right? Now, when you do an evaluation for an institution, you don't get in and then you sit with them in an office. You get there, you realize that actually they have given them a funding, but this funding is funding almost 3, 4, 5, 6 projects that are outside town. And when I say outside town, I'm in Limpopo. And you know Matlala, it's part of Limpopo Polokwane municipality, but it's not here. And can you imagine? And they're saying, no, the project is in Polokwane. And then you come to Polokwane, the office is in Polokwane. But the actual projects are where? Huivi. And it's like how many kilometers out of town? And I didn't say no. So I'm looking at my car. I don't have enough petrol. And I've already signed, right? And you can't say to the funder, I don't have petrol.
So you only get paid after you've done the work.
Of course. You do the work, and you get paid if they like your work. If
Oh.
they don't like your work, you keep on doing back and forth. No, change the report here, please do that. Until they're happy and they like what they're receiving. And then you get paid. Again, it's a process of payment, because they've got their payment processes within their company. You submitting your invoice today, it's not a guarantee that you'll be paid tomorrow. You get paid when that project is ready to be paid, and they will tell you when. Now, I'm driving. I've never given anybody a lift, but I'm looking at gasoline, and I'm going to Toyando, and I'm seeing, it won't even get to Makado. You see, Makado was way too far for that petrol. And then there are people giving lifts, and I say, today I'm going to stop. God is with me. If I die, I die. At least I die on duty, And you know me, when I die on duty, there's no benefits of dying on duty. And I give these ladies a lift, and I'm well dressed, right? I'm in Wampona. So I get well dressed. Well dressed. And we're going to Makado. And I give them a lift. I've never given anybody a lift. I don't know, when do you ask them how much? Do you ask them immediately when they enter, or halfway, or when they get off? But they must be asking in between, because how much they gonna pay? At least must be able to get me somewhere else. And I get there, and I want to ask. But I know me asking them, and they're gonna look at me, and they'll start thinking, hey, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So we get there, and then they give me money. I don't even know how much is it. From it was just outside Polokwane. From outside Polokwane to Makado, registration. I don't know how much is it. They gave me 200 rand. I don't have change. And I don't know when last I saw that note.
But you don't even know how much you have to give them change.
And I don't want to ask. One of the biggest enemy for humanity is pride.
Yeah.
And pride comes out of how I'm dressed. Yeah. Because My bank account doesn't require anybody to be proudful at that moment. My pride says, humble yourself, Mphata, and ask them, how much is it usually when you get there to there, and trust that they'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So they gave me money, it wasn't enough, and then they said, no, we'll go and get change. They get change, and then they gave me, almost 100 and something. Then I put in petrol. But I'm going to Toyando. And when I get there, we have a little meeting, and then they say, no, we're going to the projects out there. You will go with this and this and this and this and this, At least it pushed me there, but I still had to come. I still had to come back and same again.
So you're also coming back, you give people a lift.
I'm an entrepreneurial, guys.
Mm.
Everything is money. Hi.
Okay.
Even Madume these days, you greet
Yeah.
a person. Before you respond, find out, am I going to pay for responding or not? Yeah.
So I mean, what I'm hearing is obviously planning, financial planning, is I mean, as an entrepreneur, you obviously you innovate, you
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
ways, you make
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was desperation.
It was
also?
desperation. It was desperation, and also being mafikizol within an industry.
Yeah.
Remember, I knew how to do the job.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to run a business. Two different things.
Yeah.
You can know how to manufacture.
The technical
yes,
work.
you can
Yeah.
know how to manufacture the chair. But if you don't know how to run the company that manufactures the chair,
Yes, yeah.
you're in a different space altogether. I knew how to deliver the product, but I didn't know how to run the company, which was two different things. I could deliver what the funder wanted me to do, and I knew how to run an NGO, which everything that we do, we relied on funding, so there was money for it and everything. But now I'm in a different type of a space. And this is where collaboration comes on board, that you need to have friends within the industry. People that says to you, no, tell them to give you X amount of percentage before. Upfront, so that you could be able to do some of this thing. That's where financial planning, prior and also understanding prior comes on board. Yeah.
So you mentioned policies that you had to develop, and I mean that process. I assume at some point you have to develop those policies and then present them to management, workshop them on that. So there's a story there.
Let me tell you the story. That's one of the things that we're doing in Relay Institute. Like I said, we're building civil society movement. We're building NGOs. Now I'm starting, isn't it? As an individual now, I'm starting being solo, and I got another contract. I'm actually good at what we do. We're actually very good at what we do. And we're developing policies for these NGOs. The funder says, we want them to be compliant, now develop the policies and all those kind of things. And then we develop policies. And one of the things that you do when you develop policies is you need to workshop staff members on policies. It's required. You don't just read it out to them. You take out HR policy, then you take them through the policy, and then you explain to them this is how it works, and this is how it works. And I'm doing that. And one of the policies is financial policy. I'm not into finance, but I can develop policies from what I knew. But finances, like technologies, like IT, like media, changes every second. And financial regulations and policies and all that, they changes every second. And one guy raises a hand and say, in your policy that you've just designed, I realized that you didn't, cover 1, 2, 3. Please explain. What he's asking me, I've never heard. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't understand. And remember, if it's a guy, I was raised by feminist, and I'm a bit of a feminist. So if it's a guy asking me, and I'm a female, and I am cute, I'm beautiful, right? And when a beautiful woman is in front of you, delivering very good, and a guy is asking you a question, in your mind you're thinking, I'm sure he's just looking at a beautiful thing and saying, let's test if this thing can know the job, right? And that's what I'm thinking, but it's not like that. He's actually asking a genuine question, and I didn't cover that because I did what I knew. And one thing that I've been raised to do is, and that keeps your integrity, is honesty. I just said, I don't know what you're talking about. Blunder number 1 is an international funder that recommended me to do policies for them. And then I have not covered this portion, which is an important portion, which is very good in finances, actually. And they are funding them, meaning that's actually a very important part. And I didn't know anything about it.
But how do you feel? I mean, here you are. This guy is asking a question. You don't know the answer.
In Ampedi,
Yeah.
There's a phrase, I don't know if I can say it in Pedi.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
like it. I felt like I wanted to get off
Ah.
at that moment, right? Because I was flowing, and if you hear board members say, yeah, nah, she's good. You hear them, and now one guy just go like, And financial people that are in the financial,
Yeah.
they're not really people's peasants.
Okay, I'm an accountant,
I'm
but
sorry.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm trying.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe MLab did some bit of work with you before,
Yeah.
but they're not necessarily people's persons
Yeah.
that much.
There are
Because
numbers people. Yeah.
because you guys worry about 2 cents. You're not sleeping because the, 2
That
cents is
2% is
missing.
important.
Yeah, for me, I'll just say I'll see where I can get it.
Yeah.
And at that moment, and I'm thinking this is one of the biggest clients, and I don't want to lose a client because I missed this part.
Yeah.
But also, integrity is what maintains an entrepreneur floating in the business. And where do you get that integrity? Is when you're being honest. That did not come to my mind. We didn't know that part, but we'll go and look into it. But I felt like ngafolo.
So what happens to your confidence the rest of the
Dropped.
workshop?
Completely dropped. But I still have 3 days.
And this is day one.
It's day one, half part of the morning. It's day one, and I still have 3 days.
And there's lunch, or hey,
If
that
I
lady.
didn't
Are
eat,
you sure? Where did you
I
get them?
didn't eat, and I'm a prayerful woman, and at that time, verses get out of your mind. You don't even know if Noah was it Noah or Jonah who was eaten by the whale, but they was eating, and now we are eating, and you're thinking what came first, because you want to use things that you know
Yeah.
to beef up your confidence. And I'm a motivational speaker,
Yeah.
meaning one of the things that I do, I motivate people to get out of such situations. And at that time, I want to motivate myself. And I'm also thinking, this guy, and I can see his tea break, and he's approaching me. I'm like, please, we're done with embarrassing each other. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Is it the phone number you want? Because because you work with numbers.
Yeah.
Maybe I can give you phone number,
Yeah.
right? But he was actually nice to say, you can check this and this and this. And one thing I learned out of that is collaboration.
Yeah.
That as an entrepreneur, if I looked at it and say, if I'm bringing a financial person who is currently, not somebody else who has the background, because that's important, not someone else who says, I am a CA, but I'm not practicing, but get someone else who's currently practicing in the field, because they're bringing in now
Yeah.
data.
Up to date. Yeah.
Up-to-date data. So, and I realized that if I have brought on board key professionals to assist me in packaging this and also carry them with me to go and workshop this would have been able to put me up on board. And that's something that I've learned, and that was my biggest blunder, that I did almost everything from my
Yourself.
knowledge and myself and packaged it very well, actually, only to realize that there's just, there's a new act that's just been passed.
But I mean, this is day one. How do you recover for the other? How do you get your confidence back the rest of the?
Other policies were good.
Okay.
And when I hear them say, oh no, that's good, my confidence kept on going up, right? But also speaking to yourself is important. Remember, one of the things that we do right now is we're trying to manage the mental temperament of entrepreneurs. Speaking to yourself and realizing that you've made a mistake and accepted that you've made a mistake and then move on, because you still have other sessions to go.
Yeah.
So I kept on going to the bathroom and talking to myself and reminding myself other bigger, better projects that I've ran. And this is not like I'm a failure. So I'm reminding myself, but remember, you're good.
Yeah.
Remember, you are the one that you've been given this. You might have made a mistake. It's a mistake. Look at it, move forward into it. So that's
So the lesson was, going forward, there are areas where you can't do everything, and you need to bring experts with the relevant technical knowledge
yes.
to come and assist, and not try to say, hey, I have to pay this person, so my budget is going to go, I'll try and do this thing, and they won't see it.
Ecosystem in business is key. If you don't acknowledge the ecosystem within your own business, then you are unfortunately having a recipe for failure. You might be doing this, but get other professionals, get other consultants to collaborate with. And the moment you're doing that, somebody said your network is supposed to be equivalent to your net worth, right? That in my space of networks, can these people create an enabling environment for my net worth? And then I began to look at other like-minded, other consultants that I can work with, even if I get a gig, and I can say to them, look, I've got this, or I'm applying for this. Because sometimes it's even start from applying. For example, if you're doing that and then you have someone else who's saying, look, there are new areas of finances, but there are also apps. And apps are bought. And their softwares are bought. And if you do not, for an example, budget for that, then that's a recipe for failure. But when you bring in other partners and then you collaborate, then your journey becomes quite easy.
All right, so let's talk about the last, I think the last story.
Yeah.
You're running the campsite. There's this big project,
Oh,
right?
oh
Take,
God.
take us through
Oh
that.
God. Yeah. I don't know, half of my childhood I grew up in Seshego.
Yes.
I think I stayed there for 2 years. So I don't know, is it because I've been in Seshego for 2 years, and when you stay in Seshego, there's something in people from Seshego. You wake up and then you gotta do and be, right? Maybe, I don't know, if you're from Seshego, hi. But there's something about being or being raised there.
Yeah.
So now I'm running the campsite, right? I've knocked on different types of doors, and I love camping, right? And then we're running school camps. And a certain school, they're paying. They're saying, no, we're going to have a camp, like normal camp. But it's less than 100 kids. It's about 70-something kids. Our campsite is big enough to accommodate them. Now, 2 weeks or a week prior to their camp, they call me and say, Mphata, our number have went up to 200.
From 100, and your space takes 100. Okay.
What is the first thing that an entrepreneur does at that moment? You pick up the
I'm
calculator.
an accountant, so it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love money. I'm not an accountant, but I love money, right? So I pick up the calculator at that moment. They're saying, no, we're about 200 now. I don't have beds. We can only accommodate less than, about 80-something kids. Then I take my calculator, and I'm going like, I even asked someone, "Konje, when you start to get this number of zeros, what does it mean?" You know what I'm saying? At that moment, your mind leaves you. Then I'm like, okay, fine. It's okay. We'll accommodate. We don't have enough beds. I don't have money. I can't buy new beds because we don't even know where to put them, And you can't buy new beds just based on these projects because they might stay there. And, that's not, a good financial reasoning. And I'm realizing that what's happening. Then I'm looking around different type of lodges around me. And I want to know, can you borrow me beds? I mean, like I said, I'm from Seshego. This thing of borrowing each other things, it's there. In Chelanyana, Lutswanyana,
Sukiri,
yeah. Fry my or those kind of things. Just give me one egg. We used to asking, come on next door.
Yes.
And I'm looking along the streets for other lodges, and I'm calling. I've got a camp and I'm looking for beds. And then they go like, okay, for a day, for one bed is. And I can hear this conversation is not going where I'm going for. And, we come from different areas. Other people come from where they don't ask each other things. And I'm realizing I don't really have money to rent beds. And schools are coming and they keep on calling and everybody's excited, right? I'm a creative. Then I'm sitting on my laptop and I'm seeing people are making made out of pallets. You know pallets? You guys know pallets, ne? And I'm like, okay, this can work. Then I look around and I realize that even pallets are sold. Now everything is sold now. Even pallets are sold. I think they were saying it's 5 rand each or something like that. And I need to make a base, okay? So that I can go, maybe I can buy sponge, the sponge. Then I went to macro because this is where we're buying macro for our biggest camp. And I asked to speak the manager to say, you guys can't borrow me pallets. Say, no, we're not going to borrow you. We'll actually give you the pallets. And I'm explaining to the manager that I buy here every day. What's happening? This is what I have. I need a lot of pallets. Then he hold my hand and take me at the back and say, give her the best pallets. And at that time, I'm not sure what is give. Sometimes when you're in this situation, English have a tendency of leaving you.
Yeah, English bundles are depleted.
I felt abandoned by English at that because I didn't understand what is give. It's give meaning give count, and then they'll say this much. But I was given for free. And they gave me, because it was a lot, then they gave me, now I've got the base. Now I need what? The
The
sponge.
sponge.
And then I asked one ladies, they're running church conferences. I'm like, when you run church conferences, where do you get your mattress? He says, no, there's a place called Beulah. It's a prayer town, prayer, whatever they call it, prayer place. Then I went there and they were actually quite cheap. And I just rented mattresses. Then I have mattresses and we had space. And then we created our own beds. And kids were happy, actually. Sleeping on that, wow, this bed is beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, it's new types of beds that,
Okay.
yeah, it's used. So that's
So you accommodated 200.
accommodated 200, but that's not the end.
Yeah.
Right now, the 200 are here. I've got certain number of staff in the kitchen, maintenance and all that. And these are 200 kids. Meaning if your staff members were working 6 hours, that's on a less than 100 kids. So the moment the kids are starting to be more, then there's more. So I can see that is in the evening, and remember they're doing matric, they're studying up to 12 o'clock midnight, and my staff have to knock off. And I can't push them further than this. They're exhausted. Even if I can say, I'll pay you overtime, they're exhausted. But I'm the business owner here. So I let them go. I wait for the matriculants to finish at 12 o'clock. Then
This is 12 midnight.
12 midnight. Then I start mopping the floor. I start cleaning the bathrooms, right? By the time I'm done, it's something to 3 o'clock. Even the chef is exhausted, but I know the chef will be there at 5 o'clock and preparing for a 7 o'clock breakfast. So I get home, it's something to 3. I'm sleeping, but I must also be awake to also, provide a helping hand in the kitchen. So you're sleeping less than like 3 hours. And then in the morning, you wake up, you go to the kitchen, you're now assisting them because they are less. You did not plan in adding. The more you add the number, then also add
Capacity.
capacity. And we didn't do that. And that's something that actually, the money was good, but the body was exhausted.
So, I mean, physically, how long was the camp? And
A week.
A week. So by day 5,
I was
how
a
are you
zombie.
feeling?
I collapsed, I think, twice.
Collapsed.
Because here's the thing, everything that you do, hence I'm saying one of the things that we run now is what we call mindful boot camp. And we're working with entrepreneurs because everything that you do, it's mind-based. If your mind is exhausted, you're not going to function. If you shut down your mind, your body will still be alive, but unfortunately will not function. At that time, my mind is not functioning. My mind is not communicating with my body. I can push my body, but my mind is not ready. So, and that's like, I collapsed. I was sick.
And all this because you looked at the numbers and you were thinking,
Not the numbers, but money.
yeah, I'm talking about, yeah,
Yeah.
that you
Yes.
don't want, rather you work, you do this thing than pay someone else.
Here's the thing, hiring extra chefs, because we had chefs, hiring extra chefs takes time. You must interview them, you must do that, you must do that. Getting an extra help, you must do this, you must do that. Then you don't have time, they're here. But here's the thing, that's forward planning, forward thinking, and also, like I said, engage with people in that industry. If you have people, friends within the industry, then the conversation in the table assist you. And like I said to my entrepreneurs that I work with, that the conversations that you have on a table should be able to assist your business currently. So I'm listening to them, and I'm listening to people that I'm now sitting with them in the table, and these are people that are in tourism. Now I'm listening to the conversations that they're having on the table, and they're building me up to say, some people, they are on call. They're not supposed to be there full time, where they're killing your bank account because you have to pay them. Some month is dry, but you have people that are on call, and you start collaborating with people like the Chef Academy. They've got graduates that want to do internship. You start now expanding where your labor pool, in such a way that when things like this happen, it's just a phone call away. And that was my biggest blunder, that I didn't open it up again. To be able to do that. I thought I could do everything by myself.
So I mean, the idea was, I look at the money, and if I want to take the maximum profits here, with this stuff, I need to add in. But what you're not realizing is, as you're doing that, you are killing your health.
You're killing your health. You're also killing the health of your staff members.
Of your staff members as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
because they'll make mistakes because they're exhausted. Yeah.
All right. So let's recap. You leave full-time job based on a word of mouth, right? Nothing written, no contract, nothing, right? Just we are together, vibes.
Yeah, and we've
Yeah.
been together.
Yeah.
We've done this thing.
Vibes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And nothing happens, fizzles out, right? Then you need to, the entrepreneur comes out, right? Um, you then get a project. Even there, you do everything. You stretch yourself too thin. You want to do everything yourself. And accounting.
Yeah.
I have accounting money.
Yeah.
Show you flames.
It will. And remember, accounting is not even when the money is in the bank.
Yeah.
Which is something that as entrepreneurs we fail on. Accounting start, for example, when you're budgeting.
Yeah.
It start from planning.
Yeah.
And not when you call them to say, come and do my books. Or no. It's from planning. And that means if I have to bring in an accountant, it should be from planning to say, I want to do this camp. I want to cost them. I want to price them. And then they ask irritating, I know, questions, but helpful questions that even when you price properly. And I found that very, very, very helpful because cash flow is key in business, especially as an SMME, because you need cash flow, you need money. Sometimes if you don't have money, and then they call you to come and do maybe a quotation and say, bring it here. You don't even have money to bring it there. You don't even have money to call. You don't even have money to even send the invoice because you don't have money for data. So having a business that feed each other, it's actually quite important. So the camp, because it was a cash flow, because you need money. You also need money to go and make money. Other people will call you and say, no, Mphata, let's meet. But let's meet for coffee. So you need money to pay the coffee. Others will be saying, I'm fasting. And you're not fasting, or you're saying, no, if I've decided to stop on coffee, you're not stopping on only coffee, there's no money to pay a coffee. So you also need to have money to make money. Yeah.
And you also mentioned the importance of being humble, right? That sometimes ego becomes the enemy.
Yeah.
That you don't ask for help, you
Yes.
don't,
Yes.
things that
Yes.
ordinarily you could be helped, but because you've got this ego,
Yeah.
you don't, you pretend as if
Everything,
you've got this.
everything is fine,
Yeah.
and which helps. I mean, I remember one time I was in a meeting, and I knew the only money I have is for petrol. And after that, they're going and they're saying to me, let's go for a drink. And I don't like this "let's go for a drink" type of conversation because now you are starting to think, am I gonna swipe or and there's nothing to swipe, and then and then you go like, hey, yeah, no, I'm okay. And sometimes you ask, are you paying? Be honest. I would love to go, but are you taking this one? Because I didn't plan for it. And if they're saying no, you go like, no, I'll pass. These are individuals. I'll pass. And if they're a working class, then they're even worse than you are. They have the time, they don't have money, they live on credit.
I mean, at some point you were talking about you had to carry your toothpaste. And
Hey, but
yeah.
I mean, there was a point where, I mean, there's no business. And you don't have money to eat. And when you're not eating anything, the mouth will explain your status that you don't even have money or regard triple X. I mean, triple X, whatever it is. So, but I had toothpaste at home. So I'll put it in my pocket, right? So, and I'm driving. And when I get there, before I start getting into a meeting, I mean, it's meant to keep your mouth fresh, right? And I mean, at some point, you don't even have money. You walk. And when you walk, the natural body odor begins to have a conference with people that you're going to meet to say hi. It says hi before you can greet them. So I moved with roll on and a wet vaslap. No which I know reception. Where's the bathroom? You're not pressed. You get there, and then before. Yeah, and then we roll on you put a little bit of an extra shirt. That's what I did. Then I changed, and I put my lip gloss. I get there, then I get the money. Nobody knew that I walked. Nobody knew that I had an armpit that was in front.
Weapon of mass destruction.
A weapon of mass destruction, and yapa.
Yeah.
And you must understand that it remains in other people, and other people love hugging. Those people that love hugging people. And we live with them, and the moment they hug you, you remain in their space.
Yeah.
Yes. And it has to be a very good, it has to be a very good footprint. So a roll on is good, and it was very good for me for a very long time. and because either you don't have petrol money or you're working or all that. But those are the steps that we took as an entrepreneur before we get to where we
One
are.
speaker in Gaborone was giving a talk, and he says he lost his car, and then he had to go to meetings. And so what he would do is he obviously have to use a public transport, a taxi. And he would get off a block or two from where he's going. So there's this fashion where guys wear formal suit and sneakers. But what people didn't know is he's wearing sneakers because he's going to walk a lot. So people think it's a fashion statement.
Yeah.
So he gets off a block before, and then he walks to where he's going to have a meeting. And he says strategically he would come from the parking side. So he would walk towards the parking side. And strategically he would come from the parking side as if he's going to the reception. Create an impression that you know, he parked his car somewhere there.
Yeah, I know that story. I remember. There's up and down. I don't know about people, but since I've been an entrepreneur, I've had more. God has blessed me, and I have an experience of having nothing. Like you see, the bank they give bountifully so, but they also take nicely so, right? And I was a point where I had a fleet. When a person says fleet, it means it's not one car. And there was a time where there was no car. I remember there was a time where I had to walk to a meeting, and I get to a meeting, everybody's, it's. In fact, I was the motivational speaker. I get there, I get on stage. I don't have a car. We have one car, and he had to use it, and then I had to go, to provide a motivation and motivate people. And I walk in that room, and it's actually, it was even at UL. I think they hosted it. What's that biggest? Is it Tiro Hall? One of their biggest. It's full. And I walk in there, Kifumshit taxi, right? J2 to get to Teflop. I don't have a problem with that. And one thing that I say to entrepreneurs, humble yourself to be able to start over. And that's a skill. And that's something that you need to make sure that you always have. That even if you fall, know that I've made it before, I'm going to rise up again. Then I used to taxi there. Then I walked to the bathroom, changed the flat shoe, walked into my high heels. They're calling a motivational speaker. They're reading my profile. And I'm listening to them reading my profile. In my mind, I'm like, who are they talking about? Because here I am. If they're not providing us lunch, then I'm gone, And fortunately, there's this women at the gate. They sell, the chippies. I had something to buy chippies. And they're reading my profile. And I mean, it's good. I've had the opportunity to study abroad, and I did this, I did that, all those nice things that they're saying that are not worthy for them to like, did they really have to do that now? I get on stage, everybody's, and I speak, and everybody's giving, standing ovation, everybody's pumped up, and you're not pumped up, because remember you used a taxi. And now your clients, they call you and say, no, let's go and eat outside. Let's go and eat somewhere else. Then we get out. When we get out, remember we're going to eat somewhere. Someone said they're discussing who's paying, and I'm already realizing, no, someone is going to pay. It's not like individual paying. Then I'm covered. Then when we get out, they ask me one important, critical question: where you parked? I don't know why people like doing that to people. Can't we just meet at a place we are going to eat? So where did you park? And I'm like, really? Are we that close now where we are asking each other? And I know that I'm irritated because I didn't park anything anywhere. There's no parking here, So I just said no. I used a taxi, and I saw them looking at me, and then now some people are nice. They're starting talking about when, they had a tire puncture, where there was an exhaust. And they're thinking my story is that. And my story is there's no exhaust or no tire puncture. There's just no car to get there, right? And then they gave me a lift, and that was just that.
You didn't come with a taxi now, right?
No, I came with a taxi.
Oh, okay.
So there was...
I'm talking about today.
No, I have a car.
Oh,
now I'm good. I mean, now I'm good. now I'm running. My clients are not even South African.
Yes, just tell us where are you now. I mean,
My clients, I'm having global contracts right now, and I'm smart even right now. Even I mean, the cars that we're taking, we're not supposed to be taken because sometimes you look at the money you have and then you're thinking Aston Martin, isn't it? You're thinking Ford Ranger, isn't it? And if it doesn't pay itself, then you don't have to have it, right? And now I'm wise. I buy a car that I can use to go to work too. And currently, like I said, I run mindful boot camps. I've got corporates as my clients because they've got staff members that are stressed, and this is where we come in to distress their staff members. I'm currently a consultant for Airbnb. Airbnb is a global company,
Nice.
and we have what we call the Waterbeck Entrepreneurship Academy, where we have introduced what we call inclusive tourism. That's the space I am. I'm currently running another project in Mphata with the Slovakian University, and you do understand I'm not taking
no, I
rants.
get
Yeah,
it.
no. So, and I'm not taking rants.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
That's the
no.
space I am in currently.
So moving from being a CEO of an NGO to people saying they'll give you something and nothing, giving people lifts, taking a taxi, right? Being embarrassed in front of your, clients
Yeah.
because you can't answer questions,
Mhm.
collapsing
Mhm.
because you've overstretched yourself
Mhm.
to to where you are now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an incredible journey,
Yes.
and thank you so much for being vulnerable enough to open up.
Mhm.
And and I wish
Thank
you
you.
all the best.
Thank you so much.
It's
Thank you.
quite an amazing journey.
Yeah.
Can we give it a round of applause for Papa
Thank you.
Makakase?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Right.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.